Oh, cool big Canada flag when I started there. It's on my shirt. It wasn't intentional, but it was kind of neat looking. So the idea is I'm currently temporarily a stay-at-home dad, and am I going to need this giant airship for today? I guess that's fine. Two of my kids are sleeping. I've got the baby monitor over there, and the other one is perfectly able of getting help if he needs it. But they're both asleep. And so I thought I would do a grind for legendary smith equipment. Yeah, I've got an idea about it. I think I know a way to make it work a little faster. We'll see. It might work, it might not. I might have to leave suddenly. We'll see. Oh, back attack. That's fantastic. So this Elder Staff Cascura, that's pretty cool. Why don't you hammer on Refia and see what happens? My plan is, because of the extra animation associated with the steel command, that I am going to kill Refia. Golly. Oh, wow. That's kind of impressive. So, if I can keep them in the back row and defending, they'll take very low damage. These enemies divide. That was kind of part of the idea, but I guess it doesn't matter since probably Ingus can one-hit kill them. Although, you know, I could do some trickery with that. Anyway, if you take 7 or 8 actions in a combat, you're guaranteed a job level increase. And if I do that something like 23 times, then these guys all get their legendary smith weapon. Or, not all. Ingus is a lower job level than the other two still. But his legendary smith weapon is kind of unimportant, because he's got those amazing swords. Pardon me. My face looks bright red. I wonder why that is. I had to move my light. Maybe that affected things. Maybe I should turn my light off. It's daytime, after all. I don't normally broadcast in the daytime. I want to finish this game. I have a couple things on deck. I've been doing that big plan to do the Final Fantasy IV thing I've been talking about, but I keep having the same problems with basically the editor, FF Forester. And I like it, I need to be more diligent in my backups, but it's very time-consuming going through the steps I was doing. So I want to not do that anymore. Let's see that damage, that's pretty good. And that's the back row. So I want to do classic party. Knight, Thief, White Mage, Black Mage. So I'm thinking of all the games where you can do that, and it's pretty easy to do in Tactics and Tactics Advanced, because those are class-based games. There's no real Knight in Tactics Advanced, but there's a few things that are close. So I've done some minor hacking to make it work, I think. Hopefully. Probably. And same with Tactics, and Tactics is even more straightforward. Final Fantasy VI has trickery to it, but I think I'm most of the way there. I'll need to do some more edits. So basically, you got your 12 main playable characters and 4 main roles. So I should probably finish up this fight. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing here and see when the enemies die. Okay, they're gonna be jerks about it. There's a few easy command edits. I mean, White Mage and Black Mage, what you do is you set the espers to either teach White Magic or Black Magic, and then just, by honor system, enforced by the fact that this stream is going to see me do it, you only equip espers that teach you the relevant magic. That game is not really designed for White Mages, in that there's technically no stabs in the game. So I did some equipment tweaks for fun. Each character is assigned a role. It should be pretty easy to have a compatible party throughout the game, playing the game normally. What else is going on with that? There's a couple of plot bosses you would need to fix, like Vargas and Ultros 3. You have to beat them with kind of like events. As well, I want the thief to have... I want the thief to have, I think this guy uses that nasty fire attack. Maybe I should be not screwing around with him. Job experience has some degree of carryover. There's carryover in the formula. So I wonder if maybe I just waste a couple turns if I'll still get the job levels. Yeah, the Final Fantasy VI one's going to be tricky. It'll require a couple more tweaks. But it'll also be fun to play, I think. There's not really... Besides the fact that the knights will have cover built in, based on their equipment, there's not really anything knightly other than fight and attack. And that's fine. The thief, I want to give the thief steal and flee. And so flee, pretty easy to do with a minor hack. There's 2 commands built into the game. They're not the ones for the main party members, but shock and health or prey, Ganon's command. Those are both designed to just call a specific spell in the spell list. And so you pick one of them, say shock, and make it call the exit spell. And that should allow you to have a exit command that allows someone to run from battle very quickly 100% of the time. So that'd be useful. The pray command I want the White Mage to have, so modify an attack that's now unused, something from Dance. And you would basically make the pray command call that. Now, that I've pretty much done. And then there's the morph command is fairly close to what would normally be considered focus, a fairly common black magic command that you see in Final Fantasy IV as boast, 9 as focus, and 10 as focus. So, yeah. I want them to use morph, but I don't want them all to turn into sexy girl Terra. So, I'm gonna see about removing that part of the command. There's a little bit of research I'm gonna have to do into how that part of the Banksy 2 works. I'm at least conversant in assembly, so that shouldn't be too bad. This is going to have the weird side effect of making Raphia a little under-leveled compared to the rest, but that's okay. I'm not really counting the actions. I hope it doesn't end up mattering. The whole goal here is gain job levels, and the whole point of that is easy to access legendary smith equipment. So I should probably be doing a better job with broadcasting when I'm starting streaming. I don't have a huge audience. I put up a poll recently. I put up the poll saying, what would you rather see next? Because the FF6 hacking won't take long. The FFT and FFT advanced hacking, I think, are done. They're minor hacks. They're just so I can play the game with classic classes. Pardon me, I'm drinking pop and I'm burping into the mic repeatedly. Hopefully not seeming too rude about it. I'm an old person. I can't handle my minor caffeinated beverages anymore, apparently. What was I saying here? Yeah, so I put the poll up. I put the poll up saying, what would you rather see? Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy Tactics, or Final Fantasy Tactics Advance? I'm surprised to see I got at least a couple responses already, so there's people out there who are kind of aware of what's happening. My FF4 one I think is going to be the coolest, but it's also the most work. So let's get the easy ones out of the way. And they'll be fun. They will be fun for me. This game is sort of fun. If I were doing this game again, different set of classes or something, I would somehow find a save editing utility or get into there somehow and make it so that I have the classes from the beginning. None of this messing around with Freelancer. Not that Ingus is doing badly now or anything, but... I wonder if I could make a little Lua reader that would show job experience. That would be fun. Like live? Or level. I guess this is the thing with multiplying enemies. Okay. So if we were to do 19 more of those battles, it would be pretty good. The question is, how many of those can I do while my kids are napping? If my kids nap really well, my other kid, who's in kindergarten, is gonna come home and I'm gonna have to leave for that anyway, so... whatever, we'll see. These enemies used to be pretty strong, but they're pretty useless now. You really do get stronger in this game. Which is funny. I mean, you like that. You like seeing the gaining of power. I've talked about that before, and it's kind of a feature that draws you into JRPGs, is you observe your characters getting much stronger. But at the same time, it's got a sort of unrealisticness to it, like... why are these people, I mean, they have special crystally job powers, but why is it that they're 100 times as strong as they were at the start of the game? You know what's silly? Do you remember G.I. Joe Sigma 6? It was a G.I. Joe reboot that kind of came out around the same time the Transformers reboots were happening. So in the era of Transformers Armada, and they made this new G.I. Joe series, and I don't know if they do this so that kids don't repeat what the G.I. Joes are doing on TV or what, but the G.I. Joes aren't naturally talented or strong in G.I. Joe Sigma 6. I think that's what it was called. Instead they have Sigma 6 suits. And they have these specialized suits that give them basically superpower. And that's the way the show worked. Was they were in great danger if they didn't put on their Sigma 6 suits. I guess the same thing could be said of, Power Rangers, but G.I. Joe is meant to be about army dudes. Specialized military folk. So it was not a good fit for G.I. Joe. It seemed out there. And it was very anime-ish. Again, Transformers Armada sort of was too. Not that anime is a bad thing or anything, but it's not really what not really what you're signing up for when you're going to watch a G.I. Joe show. And maybe that's why G.I. Joe isn't really still in the game. Anyway, yeah. When your characters gain back, it makes sense to me, like, this is going way back in RPG roots. Think of hit dice in the original, or the oldest D&D system you think of yourself as familiar with, if you are familiar at all. Where basically, when you get from level 1 to level 2, when you gain your first little experience ramp up, your hit points potentially double. You become twice as strong, suddenly. Because you fought some goblins or something. You like seeing the power progression. It makes sense that you practice to get stronger, but it doesn't make sense that your power escalates on some weird exponential scale. Now in D&D it happens that the first one is the biggest because it doubles, but so your growth is almost, I guess, logarithmic. It starts out really strong and then it starts to matter less. In newer editions, though, other crazy things happen as you gain levels. So. Logarithmic growth is a funny thing. You don't want a game really with logarithmic growth because it starts out exciting and then gets boring. Linear growth just doesn't feel that exciting. So I think you want exponential growth, but you need some way for it to make sense in the narrative. And I guess the job crystals do that, but then again, if you kept everyone as a freelancer, you're still perfectly capable of beating this game. You'll still see incredible power scaling. So. Does the defend command used by the knight stop after they defend against a single attack? Because it seems like he takes a defensive posture and then it stops. Are these guys called Azrael or Azazel? Azrael. I have a friend with a cat named Azrael, and that thing is, in fact, a demon. I've never seen an angrier animal. And I just wonder, like, you have this animal and you can't make it happy. How do you feel when you bring an animal into your life and you're pretty sure that animal has no joy in it? It's like, one of my cats is like that. One of my cats is a real asshole. I've talked about it before. It's not his fault. I don't think he's some terrible creature. Well, I kind of do think he's some terrible creature, but, you know, we're the ones who signed up for the cat. And I guess sometimes you get a good cat, and sometimes you don't. Other cats are okay. I may have talked about this before, but I had a cat that was like my most special cat ever when I was fairly young, in high school mainly. I really liked that cat, and she moved out with me when I moved out from my parents and everything. And I feel like I'm never going to have a cat that I love like that again, and so I think that might be part of the reason why I don't really get along with my cats. And here we have 3 cats again, because my wife had 2 cats when I met her. we got one since when my cat that I was just talking about, when she passed away. It was like, we should get another cat. But it turns out that that cat is crappy. Well, she's okay. My wife tried to give her away recently. Giving away a cat is a strange... I think I was talking about that on here. I think I said something about it's really strange to, again, have taken an animal into your home and saying, I'm going to care for you, animal, and you're going to have the things you need, and you're going to feel loved here. And then we have kids. We no longer pay as much attention to our cat. We feel bad that our cats aren't getting the attention they like. They're not terrible animals. And so someone said, like, we were looking for a cat, and my wife said, you want this one? It's just a strange thing to happen. Like, you wouldn't do it with a kid. Right? I've probably only done a couple of battles, right? And I've probably used that job experience Cappy thing, because those people keep multiplying when I don't expect them to. I say people, but I'm talking about like puddles of eyeballs and eaters, creatures that have mouths in their chests. They look kind of like Tasmanian devil. Not quite as cute. Anyway, I probably don't need to stretch this fight out as long as I have been, so maybe I'll just try and kill them. It'll probably take at least 4 or 5 rounds anyway. So what we want to see is everyone still gaining a job level after this battle, because I did fewer actions. 5 actions? Oh, nobody gained a job level. That was foolishness. Do you like my text box I popped on there? Telling you why I might need to run away? Seems like a good idea. This way I won't accidentally get an audience or something. I don't know how some of my friends who are really into Twitch, how they do it. I don't know how they manage the time. I'm sure they're more likable than me anyway, at least with this weird anonymous audience. But I think of some of the people like Gamer.tv, who is an acquaintance of mine who has basically the same job as me. And he's been affiliate for a while, and it's kind of weird. I talked about the strike, which is the reason why I'm able to do this during the day right now, which is weird. You know, probably we shouldn't tell my wife. And yeah, we're on strike. He happened to be able to go to TwitchCon in the middle of the week with no problems whatsoever. It's so strange. I wonder if the strike was secretly somehow organized by Gamer.tv. But I'm thinking no. I'm spinning in my chair slightly. I'm not just, you know. I don't know what it possibly looks like I'm doing. I'm spinning in my chair slightly. Maybe after this I'll kill the thing. I'm probably close to the job levels because I kind of wasted that last battle, so. But there is spillover, so I don't need to worry about it multiplying. They certainly aren't doing me a lot of harm. Yeah, I decided to fight here. A lot of people say when you're grinding job levels, go and fight the weakest enemies in the game. But I kind of thought I can earn some experience. These enemies multiply. It's fine. They're not harmful. I was planning on killing Raffia anyway. I wonder how much longer I'll be able to play. Longer. It might be 2. Might be longer. Yeah, I somehow got my 3-year-old to sleep. He was pretty good. He was starting to lose his mind a little bit. He is still in the midst of toilet training, and sometimes he does well and sometimes not. So he started to, shall we say, not do as well in the middle of the day, and I started to think he was tired. Sometimes my wife will just give him an iPad and let him just do his own thing for an hour or so in the middle of the day. I chose not to do that. Yeah, so I put him down for a rest and asked him nicely to stay in his room, and he seems to have done it, so I think he's asleep up there. I waited for a good 20 minutes or something before I decided I was free to come and do computer stuff. And I could be doing different stuff. I spent some time last night doing some of that hacking I was talking about, the FF6 stuff mostly. So, yeah. Last night I considered playing, but I did the hacking instead, so this is as good a time as any to do this. I mean, there's lots of household jobs I could be doing right now. Maybe I should be throwing in a load of laundry. I'm, as I've said before, because of this strike, I'm effectively the stay-at-home dad, so my wife is really quite wonderful. And I should be thinking about what I can do to keep her happy. I like to think I do an okay job, but right now I really want to do this. And she doesn't mind checking out a bit some days. This isn't going to be a regular thing. What are those 2 weapons? The Ultima weapon and the Ragnarok? Yeah, I think it is. The Ultima weapon looks pretty different in this game. It's still kind of a shiny blue, but normally it looks like more of a wide-bladed broadsword. Usually kind of like almost triangular looking. I'm pleased with how this is going. And if I have to stop suddenly, I'm not really going to feel bad about it. I'll be able to walk into that door and save up. And help my kids. I've already cleaned the kitchen today, so I probably shouldn't feel that bad. And I talked about the 3 cats. Our cat litter room sometimes gets into a bit of a bad state. And so I did some cat-related maintenance that probably wouldn't be too pleasant to describe. Cat-related maintenance, but these are the things that really cool people talk about during their streams. Scooping cat litter. In this case, it was dumping cat litter and putting down all new cat litter. Cleaning the floor. I took the kids to their music class this morning. I've had a busy day. Screw being useful and domestic, I'm just going to do this. And I guess once the kids come home, once my son comes home from kindergarten, then I'll prepare something dinner-like. My wife made a really good dinner last night. It's a strange thing that we don't have more often, and that's basically just a large baking sheet covered in chicken and potatoes and vegetables, but it was so good. And it was just dressed with salt and pepper and oregano and olive oil. Nothing fancy, but man, it was a tasty thing. My wife knows what she's doing. As I keep saying, she's pretty great. Having a wife is a sweet deal. I know some people don't like the idea of marriage, or don't like the idea of long-term commitment, perhaps more correctly, but it's pretty great. Having kids is great too. I talk a lot about the constraints it puts on me. I wouldn't trade it for anything. If I didn't have kids, I'd probably game more, but that probably wouldn't get me a lot. Having kids is pretty delightful. Can't recommend enough. Can't tell you enough how grateful I am for my family. So I was thinking about that thing that people do on Twitter. They change their name to something scary for the month of October. And I was like, well, I got Retro Fresh TV. I guess probably the easiest change is like Retro Flesh TV. Would that be scary, or would it sound like erotic? Because that's not what I want to go for. I'm thinking I might do Retro Flesh TV. I mean, it's already October 23rd. It wouldn't be for very long. I've been doing mostly scheduled tweets to have a little bit of Twitter activity even when I go sometimes 2 weeks without playing a game. Some of my tweets are okay. Mostly they're just videos of my stream. I would love it if anyone watching wanted to follow me on Twitter. And then you can answer my poll about what game you want to see. Exciting stuff. I've also been thinking about what I would do at the end of this challenge. There's a lot of games I want to play. It'd be nice to play something that didn't have any kind of long commitment, but this is kind of how I like playing games anyway, so this is cool. You're on my terms. That's right. So, yeah, what games would I play? And I'm like, well, what other games can you do a classic party in? I was thinking, is there a way to do it in Phantasy Star 4? And then I was thinking of like Might and Magic 3, 4, 5. Those ones allow custom party. Maybe I could do a Final Fantasy based hack of those. What's another funny one I thought of where you can kind of do it? I've been thinking about a bunch of things where you could emulate Fighter, Thief, White Mage, Black Mage. Probably any D&D game. I mean, that's really where this is rooted, right? Those are in a way for the classic classes. And actually what's interesting is a friend of mine, Alex, who I like following on Twitter, as @400goblins, he tweeted recently, like, get rid of the fluff and have fighter, magic user, thief, or a combat class, a magic class, and a skill class. That's really all you need. Suggesting that, really, a cleric is just a fighter magic hybrid in D&D anyway. I don't have much care for this dragon friend. That's easy. No job levels that time. So, yeah. Magic class, combat class, rogue class. It makes me think. He wasn't writing to me, was he? I don't think so. I don't even know. I think he only follows my personal account, not this gaming related one. We haven't really connected on this front. But, you know, that could be a way to do the three-person party Final Fantasy games is Final Fantasy 7, 8, 10. Just always have one fighter, one thief, one magic user. I don't know, that doesn't sound too interesting, frankly. They're easy enough that it wouldn't matter. Although FF8 would be kind of funny, right? If you had no junctioning, or junctioning only available to certain classes. Oh crap. One of these door-to-door people. My doorbell's gonna ring eventually, and I'm gonna be unhappy with it. Plus, it's an organization that I literally already have business with. I don't want to talk to them at all. It's funny. You think that door-to-door shouldn't exist, and like if people are looking for charities to sign up for or businesses to help them, of course they're gonna just do that. But they're not. From some point of view, I think I have to understand what they're doing. Yes, I'm right near the windows, but you can see the windows. I don't know if you can normally see them on my stream. There was that time with the giant moth. Anyway, no, people do respond to door-to-door. I did a form of door-to-door something. I guess I might have still been a teenager, actually. Yeah, it was. And somehow, I guess it works. Or it did at the time. I mean, I was a teenager a fairly long time ago. It's probably less common now. In Canada, we're lucky to have the Canadian anti-spam legislation. I don't think it covers door-to-door interactions, though. It has helped cut down on telemarketers. But then again, so did getting rid of our home phone, which we basically did because we realized that only people who ever phoned us were telecommunications offers. These people who technically we rent our water heater from through the builder, who we don't like and keep calling us at dumb times. And people who want to clean our ducts. That's kind of it. Those are the only people who called us. Sometimes my parents used it, but they prefer to call our cell phones. A thing happens calling my parents, usually, like, it's not that I don't like talking to my dad, but usually when I call my parents, I want to talk to my mom, because she's kind of the brains of the operation. Not that my dad is unintelligent, but he doesn't know what they're doing at any given time. So usually it happens that when I talk to my parents, I want to talk to my mom. And when I call, I always get my dad, and I have to, well, I get to, because I like talking to my dad, but I talk to him about whatever's going on before I get to kind of the point, which is almost always talking to mom. Not always, but almost always. And so, one of the nice things about using a cell phone as your primary mode of contact, and my parents don't do it at all, they don't carry their cell phones. Half the time when they go out, they don't bring them as well. And they also don't charge them regularly. They just only charge them as needed, which is kind of strange to me. Because I won't remember to charge my phone if I don't plug it in overnight. Anyway, I like the idea of choosing which person I'm going to call, was where I was going with all that. When I call the house, I get whoever's paying attention, basically. Or my dad, because he sits closer to the phone, or might be expecting a call for business reasons. But yeah, that's another good reason to be mostly relying on cellular telephones. When cell phones were still fairly young, I thought that people called them cellophones. I don't know if I was thinking of cellophane or telephones, but I thought that sounded pretty good, kind of rolled off the tongue. Cellophones. One day I said it out loud in a class in high school, and everyone laughed at me for saying cellophones. Like, you don't have anything better to bully me about? Come on now. I was not really the subject of much bullying. A little bit, actually. Kind of a lot of my friends changed in grade 9, as probably happens to a lot of people. And the people who were my best friends decided that they could earn social capital by not being my best friends anymore. In a fairly outward way. So yeah, my friends changed a lot when I first went into high school. And that's grade 9 here. But for the most part, I was not the subject of bullying in high school. And when I was, it was lame. It was not very effective. I never had people threatening to fight me, really. If anything, I might have been the aggressor a little bit. But I wasn't a bully. I didn't. I think I was more of a ringleader, but among a group that was already pretty uncool. But like cool in a way. We were our own kind of cool. I remember I told someone if they had a new girlfriend and we were talking to them, and I said, well, we're nerds, but we're a different kind of nerd. What kind of nerd are you? Are you a comic nerd? Are you a band nerd? I said, we're Squaresoft RPG and industrial music nerds. And they said, that's a cool kind of nerd. I was like, yeah, we are cool nerds. I wanted to be a band geek in high school. My sister had been a really good band geek and made it sound really cool. In terms of nerdiness, that was a good way to be a nerd, was being a band geek. But I don't think I had the musical aptitude for it. I played trumpet through most of high school, but ultimately these computer networking courses started to be offered, the ones that were actually Cisco related. And so I had to squeeze in a few more credits towards the end of high school that I hadn't planned for, and ended up dropping out of music. I played trumpet, but I was never the best trumpet player, or even close. There were two people who were pretty much consistently better than me with trumpet. I was far from being a phenom with that. So it couldn't really be a band geek. You can still be a part of a geek group, not being the most talented one, but you have to have a personality that everyone else really likes. And I guess being the Squaresoft RPG and industrial music fan didn't work so well with, an orchestra. Then again, Nobuo Uematsu. Uematsu? How do you say his name? It's probably Uematsu, isn't it? Uematsu. The guy from all the Final Fantasy music, before they got crappy. Well, they were crappy. And, before they got crappy again. Which is basically only referring to Final Fantasy II being a crappy game. That might be a little bit unfair. I think at some point I'm going to have to play through that again. In full. Maybe I'll play the Game Boy Advance version. It sounds pretty neat, the part where you play with the dead people at the end. I like the idea of that. If anyone has suggestions as to how to make Final Fantasy II play well with classic class archetypes, I'm happy to try that. Oh, that's exciting. 92 and 93. And I read a strategy for getting legendary smith weapons because she travels between locations. There's a spot on the floating continent where you can fly between two spots super quickly. And it happens that my airships are parked inside this cave, so I can just take the Nautilus. Be a little faster for what it's worth. Because it's like, you know, it's an NPC traveling to random certain locations, so probably have to fly back and forth at least a dozen times. I don't really know what the odds are. I say a dozen, but it could be one of those things where it ends up being 50 or something. It's not the most astronomically irritating thing in Final Fantasy games. Those rare drops in Final Fantasy IV are really stupid. Like the Pinktail is the extreme example, but let's talk about Pinktail. The odds on the drops are something like an 8th, a 16th, a 32nd, and a 64th. I think I might be wrong. I think it might be 1 in 2, 1 in 2, 1 in 8. I don't know what they are. But I think the bottom one is either 1 in 64 or 1 in 256. But it's a crazy 1 in 256 because there's only so much probability of them dropping an item at all. So it, and like pink puffs are hard, and even encountering a pink puff requires a substantial amount of, if not luck, then preparation, because there's ways to collect items that make it easier. Yeah, pink puff hunting is stupid. And it's substantially harder than the rare items in Earthbound, which a lot of people would say are awful to get. So, in Earthbound, I think they're just called 1 in 128 items, and that's exactly what they are. And because you can see the enemies on the map, finding the enemies to earn the 1 in 128 items is actually not that bad. I think I'm going to go way over my 8 rounds here. It started out multiplying a lot, then they stopped. And now they are multiplying again. It's gonna sound weird, but I'm really glad I killed Refia. This is working for me. Hey, it didn't one-shot at that time. That's weird. You'd think he'd be getting even stronger. We're gonna see Ingus's attack power escalate. I mean, not only did he just get some amazing weapons, but gaining a lot of job levels is gonna increase his number of hits. I think I might do a little more research into number of hits to see how much of a difference that makes. Like, I know job factor is a fairly influential... Job level is an influential factor, but I'm not sure to what extent. It's high. One of the other contributing factors is agility, which is interesting because the thief is the highest agility class, referring to the one who's face down over there. I was considering when I started this doing Ingus a blood sword so that he could heal himself, but it turns out it hasn't been necessary at all. Not even close. That was a couple battles without a job level. Feels weird. Are there rare drops in this game? Should I be somewhere else? I mean, a while ago I was doing a short grind in the oceans on the floating continent, and I was doing that mainly because of wanting to get some of those spell casting items. I thought they would help with Hind. Turns out I didn't need that much help with Hind. Still no job level. Everybody must be close. I said it would be short and probably quiet, but I'm having trouble keeping my mouth shut apparently. So yeah, my hacking stuff is almost done, but I am going to want to make a pretty sidebar to go with my other runs. Final Fantasy Tactics is interesting, so because I'm doing a small hack, and because it's in limited availability on PC, I'm going to be doing, oh, there we go. No job level for the mages, weird. I'm going to be doing the PlayStation version. And so it does not run in widescreen, so that's a good thing. Multiplying a lot this time. Huh. I don't think I had actually observed this before. I was like, when I go to item, I don't seem to be able to change weapons. That would have been quite handy earlier in the game. I literally didn't know you could change equipment in battle. I kind of reasoned you could, but then it didn't seem to be an option. You know, a lot of games in the series you can't. In 8, there's not really any equipment. In 7, there's no way to change it in battle. In 1, there's no way to change it in battle. In 10, there is, you know. Unless you're doing very specific challenge play, most people have no need to access it. Doing tactics, which I think is probably going to win based on how the poll's going. I find it kind of funny that where was I going with this? Oh yeah, tactics. Speaking of the word challenge, you know, this is a novelty run. This is a variant. I wouldn't call it a challenge, especially tactics one. People have beaten tactics with like solo calculators with no other magic and strange things like that. So what I'm going to do is not approximating a challenge run in the least. It's just a variant play. Closer to classic classes, and it forces me to play in a different way and think in a different way, and that's kind of the point. And sometimes when you do that, you learn interesting ways of doing things that would be obvious in certain circumstances, but not always. Okay, we're close for those two. Should I bother doing Angus? I don't know. Maybe I'll go get the other ones first. The problem is, you know, once you head towards the Crystal Tower, you are fairly committed. And by that I mean it's really a pain to get out of there going through the Ancient's Maze and everything. a hack I'd love to play. There's a few hacks. There's a lot of hacks I'd love to play when I'm not stuck in this cycle of classic Final Fantasy Party. There's a hack that I overlooked for a long time because it seemed to be a novelty hack. It was based around adding 12 playable classes in Final Fantasy 1 instead of 6. So there was Final Fantasy Ultra, which is a variant of Final Fantasy something else. Kind of like using a certain hack as a base. Mad Spunky, who has some long Portuguese-sounding name, did Final Fantasy Ultra, and then he released another one called Final Fantasy Ultra Championship Edition, which I think is hilarious. And I really wanted to play it because he did some neat things in terms of the design, like adding in an early game dungeon prior to Marsh Cave called the Pirate's Cove. Why wasn't there that in the original? What a good idea that is, to have like a simple introductory dungeon early in the game. In Final Fantasy 1, the early game is dominated by Overworld. And because when you play Overworld, you always have somewhere else you're trying to get to, you end up at a place where you're under-leveled, and you end up doing this stupid early game grind. And it's not as bad in Final Fantasy as it is in a couple other games like Dragon Warrior and Phantasy Star, but you'd still rather not. Yeah, from what I've heard, there's some design decisions I really like there, and I think I'd really enjoy playing it. At some point I'm going to play that. He said the next one's going to be called Hyper Fighting. I think that would be quite funny. For one thing, you'll have no choice except response rate 8. Everyone's hits will be doubled. There'll be no cap on the hit multiplier given by fast. Every class will have access to that. I'm making things up, by the way, but it would just be funny to see how you could stretch the engine of the original Final Fantasy to make combat really, like, over the top and exciting. Dragon Ball-y. Oh, is that a child? It is. Let's see if he settles down. I think that time might be over. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop. But this puts me in a good position for next time, right? And now these enemies are frustrating, right? They're stopping me from getting to my baby. He might have calmed down even. Okay, we'll see. That often happens. He cries a little in his sleep and then calms himself back down. You're probably not hearing it over the piece, but there's a baby monitor over there. I put it kind of far away because he's got, like, nighttime music playing. It's funny how often I'm looking over my shoulder during this game. Oh, that time Angus gained the job level. I'm so close, though. If he's chill, and he might have just calmed down completely and gone back to sleep. Seems like. Maybe I should turn that text box off now, because, like, first of all, I'm not sure if both kids are napping, and second of all, this was not a quiet session. That was completely false advertising. Oh, I got an achievement for gaining a lot of gil. Yeah, I do have a lot of gil. Those level 8 magics aren't looking so expensive now. I may as well spend it all on consumables and make my run at the final areas a little easier. I guess there's nothing... is there a place to buy elixirs in the game? It won't be now anyway. Once I get to 99, I'm going to be done. That multiply noise is weird. Yeah, so of those 3 things I'm considering doing in the near future, Tactics Advance, and 6. Tactics Advance I think I only played all the way through once. And it's not the greatest game ever. But it's okay if you take it for what it is. But I think 6 is the one I would be most excited for, because the hack will add a little bit of novelty to the whole experience. Playing that game without magic itself is a bit novel. Some characters will do without magic, others will have lots of magic. No one will have all the magic though. That's refreshing. Would be the 3rd turn of this fight, if I was paying attention. I'm increasingly, now that I turned the text off saying I'm going to be quiet, I'm increasingly listening for sounds in my house here. So the reason I am underemphasizing Ingus's job levels, besides the fact that he was further behind from the get-go, and that has to do with Knight being a mid-game job, his legendary smith weapon I don't think is better than Ragnarok. The stats it boosts are a little less important. It's gonna be good. You know what that means. I like that moment of him lying down in between the 2 strikes. I wonder if he was dead by half the damage, if that was the idea. Oh, now I've got someone watching me too. Funny timing. I mean, that's great, but it is funny timing. I had a text box up saying, I've got kids napping, I'm going to be quiet, and then I was talking the whole time. And then one of my kids was just making a little bit of noise, and so I was increasingly paying a little attention. Plus, this is a really grindy session. I'm just trying to get job level 99 for my people because I can get legendary smith equipment. But, yeah, it might be that I'm going to have to pop out really suddenly here as kids start waking up. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to... I'm going to be leaving momentarily from this dungeon to go and grab the legendary smith equipment. Because apparently my characters aren't powerful enough. Which is funny, because really the white mage and black mage should be underpowered. Normally at this point in this game, you would have switched to... I'm going to take the Nautilus, it's faster. You would have switched to a Devout or Magus, which are basically upgraded mages. Normally, you would have. Are there advantages to these ones? Arguably. Not really an expert on this game. Oopsie. So a piece of advice I got was to go back and forth between here and the healing copse, I think. I don't know where the legendary smith is. That would be a nice thing to know. If the legendary smith really shows up in a random location, why can't you just enter and exit the same location again and again? Here she is. A master black mage. Cool. That's good. Weird. So this is great. Lots of attack power for one thing, but I believe it's a big boost to his stats. He's got intellect 52. Intellect 67. That's a big difference. That's pretty good. And now we kind of keep doing that, and we'll be able to get the items for the other folks here. Hang on. I probably want to take Arc stuff off. Feather, white, protect. We should probably slaughter Arc. You know, there's things you gotta do, and sometimes they are murder your friends. I wonder if we would still be doing 9999 if we were equipped with a shield. That would be interesting. By the way, I should save. I haven't saved yet. Walking around with one person makes me a little nervous, even though it's the way it is. I don't actually know where the Legendary Smith shows up. Maybe the better thing to do would be pop in here and go back to the healing cops. I like that most of the Final Fantasy games have some kind of town music that's like the goofy town music. Like there's a goofy sound to the Mysidia music to me, and to the Thamasa town for me. Goodness, that was a substantial sneeze. I don't have any Purell handy here. But I was planning on being done soon anyway. It does seem like people in my family keep getting sick lately. Minor sickness, thankfully. I think that it has to do with my youngest being in very occasional daycare. Kids always get sick in daycare in my experience. They start to be around other germ carriers and suddenly your life changes. I wonder if somewhere on the internet a picture of where Legendary Smith appears in Gaisol exists. That would be useful. Something like FF Wiki, it seems like they would have a list of all the places that, like a pictorial list. All the places that the Legendary Smith shows up. That'd be nice. I think I might have got really lucky the first time. Hopefully it works the same way as it did in like the original release, and I'm not just wasting my time going to the same spots. Maybe she's disguised as a sheep. That would be unfortunate. Pretty soon I'm gonna have to wake up my kids anyway to go get the big one from the bus. I keep thinking that cabbage guy over there is the Legendary Smith. I'm searching Legendary Smith Gaisol. I guess not. She's in the Chocobo house? Where's the Chocobo house? That is an inn. That is not a Chocobo house. don't want to get a healing fountain because that would revive all my valuable dead comrades. What do you do? Oh, I don't care. I've never cared. Someone here says something about restarting and reloading. I wonder if that's a thing. I'm looking forward to the one for the thief, perhaps the most. And then there's going to be a decision about whether to put Refi on the front or not. So someone posted it based on the final, or the DS version, literally 9 years ago. I'm seeing here. Let's see about restarting. And hopefully this isn't a huge mistake. Hopefully I haven't, you know, lost the... Okay, it looks like it's displaying properly. Because that was a thing a while ago. Even Ingus is at 89. That's pretty close. Okay, so that's not a 100% thing. They were talking like it was, but it was a different version of the game. 9 years have passed for Square Enix to perfect the random number generator. Something they have had some problems with, it should be noted. Oh man, I remember... Oh. Cool. I wonder if that was because I saved and reloaded, or if that was just coincidence. So if I give her the Gladius, pretty nice by the way, and it gives a huge agility bonus, 72 agility. Then I've got this decision of the Lust Dagger will be more attack. Oh, it's not. Huh. Wow, that Moonring Blade sure is powerful. This is great. Cool. I feel good about that. One more to go for now until I do night. And I think I will just do night while Ingus is the only one alive. But maybe not now, depending on what's happening with my children. And they are nice children. I wonder if I should try restarting again, because that was pretty slick. Let's try. I'm going to do it the exact same way, so I'm going to save outside guys all. Well, I'm going to close the game. I'm going to open the game. load the game, which unfortunately takes kind of a long time. But we've got time. I'm gonna check the Chocobo house, because that's what I did last time. Not gonna talk to anyone, because I didn't the first time. Did I? When was the time I talked to the guy? Might have been last time. Oh well. No, didn't work. Okay, well that's cool. I just got lucky twice. Luck is good. What is the item for the White Mage? I think it's a robe or something. It's not a weapon. My kid who made a couple noises a while ago, in case you were wondering, I haven't just been abandoning him. He definitely went back to sleep. It'd be nice to get this done, but I can also just stop. Now, if he were to get petrified, that would be pretty silly. I would lose. We'll go up to 7 and see if he gets a job on. 6. Whoops. Well, it'll be 8 now, because you still gotta kill the bad guy. Probably get a job level out of this then. Certainly, I'm not sure. There's a way to be sure, but I don't know all the map off the top of my head, so I've got a job level. So if I were to do that 9 more times, I'd be able to get Ingus's weapon too. But like I said, I'm pretty sure it's the least important of all of them. Speaking of Ark, I can give him his old equipment back. I'm happy I chose the Nautilus. It's a little faster, but also there's the time of going into like the cockpit of the Invincible. It would add up. Hey! Wait, did I do something stupid? Does Ark... Is he only level 98? He is. That was dumb. And the worst part is... to revive him, I have to revive everyone. Man, that was foolish. But not a big kind of foolish, I mean... One of my kids is definitely awake now. Well, that's gradual petrify. Interesting. combat in this game just looks silly, really. Yay. You know what that means. Maybe you don't know what that means. That means it's time for Ark to die again. It's funny that I was taking their armor off. It was very unnecessary. Yay! Angel robe. Thank you for forging me a robe. So that's interesting, because Ark and Luneth had very similar equipment. And now Luneth has much more attack, and Ark is going to end up with much more defense. Well, it doesn't look like much more, but it is. And it's a pretty substantial stat boost, I think. Yeah. It's good. That's great. Okay, I keep saying I'm gonna have to stop. I think I'm gonna have to stop. Because if my kids aren't awake, they're gonna have to be soon. So I'm gonna be done. That was good. That was good. I'm glad I got that. This was not the most fun to watch session ever. I'm sorry. I talked a lot at the beginning. I'm more awake than usual right now. But, yeah, probably won't be playing tonight. Pretty cool to get that stuff. And I think I will just get Angus's one here. And then we'll do the endgame. That'll be cool. Probably one more session? Might be two. Probably one. Okay, thanks.